Saskatchewan, you know SaskTel because we're everywhere. Saskatchewan, you know SaskTel because we're everywhere. Because being everywhere keeps us connected to you. You are what matters most. With SaskTel sponsorships, we get to be a part of your community. From the dance competitions, to the rodeos, to helping discover and embrace technology across the province. We're here with you, and we're here for you. It's easy to get started. All you need to do is apply. Every year, SaskTel contributes nearly $3 million to approximately 1,000 nonprofits, charities, associations, and events in more than 200 communities across Saskatchewan. So keep dancing, keep laughing, keep discovering, and we'll be there to help, to lend a hand, and join in the fun. SaskTel cares. Always has, always will, because we are dedicated to our home. To apply for sponsorship, visit SaskTel.com/sponsorships.
So looking at the slash double here. Wow, just slides by everything. Chance now for Yannick Schwaller to try to draw in sit 3. Sean Joyce here with you live from the Curling Stadium Martensville International. This is the men's final. Yannick Schwaller, his team out of Switzerland, playing against Riku Yamagisawa and his Japanese foursome. So a truly international final for this Martensville International. First thought was to come around. Now a little bit of a discussion as he meets up with the front end. You have to think the concern here is if you come right around the two center guards, Yamagisawa simply follows you down. Even if he's only second shot, he takes away those other two stones. See them tapping the ice in behind the corner guard as well. Discussion there might be, how can we get one here? Do you play through the port or would you go wide around the outside? Could go wide to the open side. They're looking at that as well. You might make a double over there, but then you still got your chance for two. This is a new lineup this year. We have a couple of players that have played together before. Pablo Schott is the lead. The second, Sven Michel and and the fourth rock thrower, Benoit Schwartz, have played together before. Yannick Schwaller, skip, throws the third stones. It looks like they've opted to go towards the open side. They do have that rock in the back 12-foot there. There is a possibility they're going to leave a double, but as long as the Japanese skip can't get in behind cover, you're still going to have a chance for two. The double still has to be made. They're looking to get this way out wide on the Pressures are on this all the way down. And looks like they will get just a piece of the 12-foot, enough to sit three for now. And boy, that's maximum separation if you're worried about them trying that double. Riku Yanagasawa, the skip. Tsuyoshi Yamaguchi, the third in the house, surveying the situation. These two played together for a few years now. Of course, the roles were reversed last year. Satoshi Kazumi is the lead, and new to the team this year, second man Takiro Yamamoto. This squad has had a strong field to play against in their preliminary round. They played 5 games. All the teams played 5 games. In their 5 games, they played all 4 of the other playoff teams in the men's side. Came through the preliminary round with a record of 3-2. Their 2 losses were against Colton Flash in their first game and Steve Laycock in their final game. So far in the playoffs this morning, they got a chance to play Steve Laycock again in the quarterfinals. Got their revenge there. Got their revenge against Colton Flash in the semifinal just about an hour ago. Played Schwaller on Friday morning. They were victorious there and looking to go 2-0 against the Swiss, but in a little bit of trouble here in the first. Catches enough of that stone to make contact with the back one, but not enough to get it out of the ring, so leaves Schwaller sitting 2 right now. Benoit Schwartz, the 4th stone thrower. Now they're going to come around the center. Of course, if you went to the wings now, you might see Yanagasawa come down to that back stone and take your end away that way. Ideally, might like to be just biting the 8-foot here. You come into the top 4, you're going to see Yanagasawa try to come around and freeze on top of you. Gets full 4. So if Yanagasawa does make the freeze, you're still going to have the edge of the 4 to draw for your 2. Big shot here in the first end. Yanagasawa without last rock. Facing 3. Needs to get a piece of this stone in front of the red shot stone in order to prevent an opportunity for Schwaller force him to perhaps get 3 or 4 here. Now this has got a lot of room and might be a little heavy, so trying to come by that top one now, maybe get down to the back one, and by doing that they accomplish the same thing. They're not going to have a chance to get that stone out for a big multiple count. Does leave him room that he could come down to his own stone that he just threw on his first one and get 2 that way. A little bit fortunate there for Yanagisawa. If he ever rubs off that shot stone at the top of the 4-foot, could have left Schwaller the chance to hit for 4. As it is, it's a draw for 2. Pressure's on this right away. Made the draw to the full 4-foot on his first. Needs to just about bite 4-foot here to get his second point. Pressure's easing up now just a little bit. Will come down past his own stone, grabs the corner of the button.
Saskatchewan, you know SaskTel because we're everywhere. Because being everywhere keeps us connected to you. You are what matters most. With SaskTel sponsorships, we get to be a part of your community. From the dance competitions, to the rodeos, to helping discover and embrace technology across the province, we're here with you and we're here for you. It's easy to get started. All you need to do is apply. Every year, SaskTel contributes nearly $3 million to approximately 1,000 nonprofits, charities, associations, and events in more than 200 communities across Saskatchewan. So keep dancing, keep laughing, keep discovering, and we'll be there to help, to lend a hand, and join in the fun. SaskTel cares. Always has, always will, because we are dedicated to our home. To apply for sponsorship, visit sastel.com/sponsorships.
Yanagisawa asking Kazumi to come down probably just tight by the center guard, clip that stone at the top of the 8-foot, roll the shooter over towards the corner guard. Not looking to throw enough weight necessarily to remove that stone, and if you happen to catch the corner guard, or pardon me, the center guard, which is what they're going to do here, you can split it off the center line. So a couple of options with a shot like that. Gets that shot rock in the top of the 8-foot open now. Schwaller will look to guard it again, but after this stone is thrown, the free guard zone has expired and you can start peeling those guards. Nothing out of the sweepers yet. I see one hand up. That's usually maybe an indication it might be a little warm. Gets the guard a little bit tighter, but in a nice line. So able to remove these guards now, so going to look to run it through. Try to catch the stone at the top of the 8-foot. Removes the guard, but pushes it by. Stone in the rings. Shooter rolls out of play as well. Schwaller will look to put the guard back. Nothing out of the brushers again. Needs to curl a little bit more to cover that stone, but already very tight to the rings. Stops just short of the 12-foot. Those two stones a little closer together now. Perhaps another chance to play it as a run through. The other option, I'm surprised he didn't look at it, could play the half rock on the other side and play the double on the red biter. Might have still opted to play this anyway. I'm just surprised he didn't look at the other option. Makes the double. His shooter stays right there. Schwaller, the skip, throws the third stones. He's down at the hack end now. Looking to play the come around. Still has a lot of room by the guard. Brusher's now switched, looking to get a little extra curl here. And Michelle trying to bring it back, get it buried as far as he can. Brings that into the top button area. Probably about half behind cover. Enough room there, though, for Yamaguchi to make a play on it. Try to hold the shooter on the corner. It is a blue guard. You could try running the guard back, and even if you're pretty close to the nose, anything that rolls to the right as Yamaguchi is looking at it. Anything rolling to the right, there's 3 guards over there to protect you. This is really curling. They're going to have to go to get by the guard. And I think we had a burnt stone there. Looked like one of the brushers might have touched that stone, perhaps when he was trying to lift up his brush, actually. So that one comes off. unfortunate there for this Japanese foursome, because even with the fact that it didn't look like they were going to get the result they were looking for, chipping that guard out of the way would have at least opened it up for the next one. Now you allow Yannick Schwaller a chance to play a second guard on that stone at the top of the 4-foot. And you might have to play some kind of double peel. Just looking for the guard here. That stone he put in on his first, about half exposed, so looking to take away that half. Might like to overlap the guards just a little bit, so there's no run back. Puts that dead in line to the shot stone. And Nagasawa asking him to come down and sit on the face of that and bump it back a little bit. I thought he might play the double peel, or pardon me, the double run. Red over the top of the blue, straight back. There's a possibility if you do that and make it well enough, you could kill the shot stone and roll a blue in behind cover on the corners at the very least. Open up the middle. One thing we've seen all week long, it is very difficult to guard an existing rock with just one guard right now. There's so much finish. You can usually get at it from one side to the other. Gotta get close to the nose here. You don't want to bump out into the open. Finishing nicely now. Wow, big finish there. Gets the tap. Does not move it far enough to be shot rock, however. That should give fourth rock thrower Benoit Schwartz a chance to throw another guard. Take away the path that they just threw so they can't get down and do it again. You saw Yannick kind of indicating anywhere in this line right here, take away that same path. Rushers pick this one up right away. Line seems to be holding. We've got one brusher on, he wants to go. Actually, at the end, I think they were hoping that maybe it would bump off that, or maybe should have been hoping it would bump off that one red stone. It curled enough that Nagasawa might have room to come down and touch his own up for shot rock. Could play the double peel. Looking at the run back. You could get that. The guard that he's looking at, if you can run it just by the one outside the rings, you could get it to the red stone. Probably sit two. Don't have to throw big weight with this either. If you hit it just a little bit too thin, quieter weight, put it onto your own stone out front of the rings, you could split them both in. And shot stone would be accessible then. Might put a little pressure on Schwartz with his last one. That broom, you got to think he's throwing a full weight hit here. He's hit this just a little bit off the center line. Makes the hit, drives it by his own, just catches the stone at the top of the forefoot, but still able to make contact with the shot rock. Drives it out the back, and the shooter, I think, hung around for second shot, even with that little rub on the stone at the top of the forefoot. Doesn't push it out from behind cover. So looking to make the draw, come down, sit on top of that blue stone. Sit for second shot and make it difficult for him to get his deuce. Certainly wouldn't leave him an opportunity, I don't think, for any more than two. Sweeper's just waiting for this one to curl. A lot of room by the front ones. This might be a little strong. You can't bump off out into the open. Comes down, nudges it a little bit, but keeps his shooter in behind cover. It's like perhaps the only shot Yanagasawa's got left is to try to draw to the very edge of the forefoot. He's got to get around the one that Schwartz just threw. So having to put the broom way out in the weeds. Someone might have been wondering about the draw on the other side, but the stagger on the guards is just the wrong way. Sitting one, this is a chance to draw for two, but always a bit of an adventure when you have to draw this wide. They certainly haven't done it this early in the game. Probably didn't throw this wide in practice either. So guessing a little bit. Rusher's staying close, but they've got to wait for a line call. This is still on the outside of the red stone in the 12-foot. Sweeping now for some curl. It's going to rub that stone a little too thick. Comes on to the one just thrown by Schwartz, and it is just a single point for Yanagasawa. He takes one here in the second. Schwaller with a 2-1 lead, and last rock going into the third.
For victims of domestic abuse, fleeing may mean leaving everything behind. There is hope. SaskTel provides brand new cell phones so that starting over is possible. Learn more at SaskTel.com/fresh start.
Two ends complete here in this championship final from the Curling Stadium Martensville International. My name is Sean Joyce. I want to thank all of you who've been with us all week long. Been some exciting curling action in this truly international field. And as we look across the two finals, the men's and the women's final, we've got three of the international teams have made the final. Savannah Tirinzoni from Switzerland playing against Clancy Grandy in the women's final as well. 2-1 here as we begin the third end. Yannick Schwaller with the lead and last rock. Riku Yanagisawa asking for a center guard. They've been looking for that a little bit tighter, but when they decide that it's going to come up short, they pull the sweep off. You might see them throw a second guard regardless now. Yannick Schwaller looking to come around that guard. Might see him in an even end, still throw a corner guard, but he's already in end management mode. Ideally, you'd like to have last rock in the even ends if you could. He's going to throw this one right in the rings to the middle and see if he might be able to work this end for a blank. Yanagisawa looking for the second center guard now. Gets the second center guard. Would have still liked it a little bit tighter, but they are pretty well in line. Pablo Lachat being asked to come around again. In off his own this time. Keeps the shooter a piece in behind cover and gets the open stone a little bit farther away from the guards. Yamamoto being asked to come down and sit on the stone that's partially in behind cover. come down, sits right on the face, a couple of inches in between them. It is still Schwaller sitting 2. There are more rocks on that center line than he'd like to see. Asking Sven Michel to maybe do something about that. Gets 1, gets 2. Loses the one of his own on the side of the 8-foot, but does clean up the 2 center guards and rolls the shooter over for a corner. Would have liked to have kept his own rock at the side of the 8-foot there, but priority right now is getting that center line clear. He's still thinking blank end if he could get it here anyway. Yanagisawa doesn't want to let him have that blank, throwing the guard here. You can hit that blue stone at the top of the 8-foot and always kill the red in behind it. The problem with that is you leave the double, and Schwaller probably has his blank. If you're going to play that, you're going to do it very late in the end. For now, you throw the guard. Schwaller plays the peel. I expect that might happen 2 more times yet at least. Guard over curls a little bit, but it is the stone that bothers Yannick Schwaller more than the one in the ring, so going to make a peel on it again. Makes the hit, does roll his shooter out of play. So the question now, do we throw one more guard or do you want to come and sit down on top of it again? Could play the hit. I tend to think you throw one more guard, he's probably still peeling. I think the indication was they're going to try to come right in, sit on top, freeze to your own. You want to leave the 3 stones in a line so that any hit attempt, the blue stone that's sitting there right now won't be able to go anywhere. It'll be just squeezed in the middle. I may have opted for one more straight guard. So decision time now for Schwaller. You know, if you just peel it out one more time, they're going to do something with the stones in the house. Looking at coming around the corner guard. I don't know if you can get dead buried and be second shot rock, but You can get a piece behind and sit 2. You have to be a little bit concerned that Yanagisawa could play the nose hit on the blue guard. Leave himself sitting 2 in behind cover. They are playing the draw, looking to come just to the edge of the forefoot. Maybe get a sliver of it behind the guard. Thinking here, you want to be in a position where if Yanagisawa does play that short run back and makes it, he won't be in the forefoot, so you'd like to have shot rock with this one if he makes that. Pressure on this all the way down might be just a little bit light. Gonna grab full 8-foot, but appears to be third shot for now. It is buried. That indicated possibly playing off the stone that was just thrown, but from the hack end, you can't see that stone. It's buried. Looks like they're still looking at perhaps coming around the guard. Just quiet wait. Try to get to the stone that was just thrown. Move it out from behind the guard at least and roll the shooter over in behind the 3 stones on the right side as we look at it. Certainly all week long there's been plenty of finish on this ice. Has appeared today like it might be getting just a little bit straighter, not as much finish. It's going to make this shot a little bit tricky. Gets by the guard, now sweeping for that last little bit of curl, makes the hit. But going to roll just a little bit too far out into the open. Schwaller continues to sit 1 and now might have the opportunity to freeze down to that stone at the back. Could put it back in the same spot as well. be concerned if you froze down to the back one, you might see Yanagasawa follow you down. If he can get to the inside of it, might take your end away. Same time though, if you play the same shot and Yanagasawa makes the same shot, he can't roll out of the forefoot. His own stone will act as a catcher. So it looks like they've decided to come down to the blue at the back of the 8-foot. You don't actually have to come down to it. You could, as long as you get tight so that there's not room to hit and roll under, you could stop right on the tee line here. And there's probably no chance for Yanagasawa to draw, get to the inside of your stone. It's going to be all about weight. Want to throw this where your brushers can take it at the end after it started to curl and place it where they need it. Haven't had to go yet, but they're close. Starting to curl now. Still got room by those two stones in the rings. Going with the offside sweep to try to get that last little bit of hook. Looks to be edge to edge. The two stones at the top of the house. So tough for Yanagasawa to get to the inside of that. Looking at it from the overhead, if he sits right on the face of the red that was just thrown, I don't think he would be shot rock. He'd have to get to the inside of it. So he's looking at the run back now. Nose on the guard. Right onto the blue at the top of the 8. And the blue-red combination might be lined up to clip that red stone that was just delivered. And with that little bit of separation, might be room to double them out. Final stone for Riku Yanagasawa here in the third end without last rock, looking for the run back double. On the guard, catches the one at the top of the forefoot, clips the stone at the back. It does move the blue stone as well. And I think the red rolled farther than the blue, so I think it is Yanagasawa sitting 2 right now. It did stay biting. Now the one I can't answer about is the one on the side. Whether that one was straight there or if it came off the boards, that would have been one of the guards. I presume somebody was watching that, so it's just an opportunity to draw here. Benoit Schwartz needing bite of the forefoot. Can pick up his single point here. Keepers are staying close to this one. That's usually a good sign for the weight. I need to put this close to the tee line. He's going away from the center line, so the farther this travels, the farther it gets away from the forefoot. Comes down, puts it right on the tee line, does pick up his single point. Yannick Schwaller with a 3-1 lead over Riku Yanagasawa after 3 ends of play.
Saskatchewan, you know SaskTel because we're everywhere. Because being everywhere keeps us connected to you. You are what matters most. With SaskTel sponsorships, we get to be a part of your community. From the dance competitions, to the rodeos, to helping discover and embrace technology across the province. We're here with you, and we're here for you. It's easy to get started. All you need to do is apply. Every year, SaskTel contributes nearly $3 million to approximately 1,000 nonprofits, charities, associations, and events in more than 200 communities across Saskatchewan. So keep dancing, keep laughing, keep discovering, and we'll be there to help, to lend a hand, and join in the fun. SaskTel cares. Always has, always will, because we are dedicated to our home. To apply for sponsorship, visit sastel.com/sponsorships.
Well, Riku Yanagasawa has been making big shots all day long. Made another big one in the third end, a run back double with his final stone to take away what looked like a chance for at least two for Yannick Schwaller. He has to draw for one. Still, that gives Schwaller a 3-1 lead as we play here in the fourth end. They bring the first stone in to bite the top of the forefoot, and now Kazumi being asked to throw the corner guard. Corner guard thrown up, and now Yannick Schwaller will ask Pablo Lachat to throw towards the center. I think they're still playing the center guard here. A little later on in the game, some teams will throw a second one into the rings. These guys obviously have it figured out what they're going to play. I didn't see him gesture. Looks like they were trying to play the guard. It's going to stop in time just. Does not get dead lined up to the stone in the rings, however, and Yanagasawa now going to try to use their corner guard, play the come around. We have seen him when the rocks are dead lined up, make a play on the two in the middle, but he's got access to shot rock right now. Got a nice line coming around the guards. Just a question of how far back can you get to get this buried now. Actually keeps it in front of the tee line and still dead buried. Boy, that moved hard at the end towards the wing. Schwaller's first indication was to play the center guard. Might be some concern from the other three players. They'd love to be able to make a play on that stone in the rings. It's just that you're still in the free guard zone and there's some risk associated with that. You play the guard, you make sure you're going to get something out of this stone. You know that sooner or later Yanagasawa has to make a play on the stones in the middle, and while he's busy with those, you might be able to deal with the corner yourself. Comes down, sits pretty much right beside the other tight center guard. Yanagasawa looking at playing the hit on the wider of the two guards. Play the hit and roll over. When your shooter rolls over, the stone you're making contact with might catch the one in the rings, at least jam it out from behind cover. Nothing out of the brushes early now, looking for some curl. Gonna catch about half. That's enough to make contact with the stone top of the 8-foot. Moves them both, doesn't get either one of them out of the rings. And his shooter rolls over to the corner. It's Schwaller sitting 2. Yanagasawa with last rock here in the 4th end. Got some rocks starting to pile up on that corner. For Schwaller, you've got 2 rocks in the ring, sitting 2, but neither one of them under cover, neither one of them in a position you'd really want it in. So opting to bring another one around the tight center guard. This is the second, Sven Michel. All kinds of room by the guard. Trying to drag it back at the end, get as much buried as they can. Looks like they got just a little bit more than half behind cover. Going to look to move that stone. Gestured towards his own at the edge, so I think maybe thinking we want to move this enough to bring the blue back into play, perhaps. There's the indication. He wants to move it just enough to be through the rings. Important to keep the shooter here. He wants perhaps to get shot rock out of the shooter, force Schwaller to have to play it. The indication, of course, was he'd like to roll right in front of the other red stone at the back. Takiro Yamamoto. On the brush early here. Well, not going to get by, so they want to make sure they hit it hard. Enough to drive it through the rings. Schwaller sitting 3 now. None of them behind cover. Gonna look to throw a guard on shot rock. Brushes have been off and on. This is going to need to curl if it's going to cover that shot rock. Covers probably 2/3 of it. Still available from the out turn if Yanagasawa wants to make a play at it. The initial indication was play the run through. Lining it up to run it over the top and maybe get two of the rocks in the rings moving if you could. The other thing you might get off this, you're hitting it on the, looking at it from the overhead, if he's hitting it on the right side of the stone, shooter could come across, make contact with the two blues outside the rings, and you might squeeze one of those into the 12-foot. So Yoshi Yamaguchi looking for the run through. On the guard, makes contact with the stone top 4. Might even have rubbed the one at the back, but doesn't move it very far. It's still Schwaller sitting 3. And the shooter didn't roll very far either. You could guard shot stone, but there's a double available on the one at the side of the 8-foot. So looking at trying to tuck a corner around the blue corner guard. We, of course, do not have mics on the players. And I confess that if you can hear the players through the ambient mics on the ice, I don't have access to that audio either, so I'm not sure what they're discussing here. See Schwartz looking at that's the double. We can't guard shot rock. He just plays this double. Going back to the initial call, which was to tuck a piece around the blue guard. You don't necessarily need to be dead buried here. You just want to choke off the guard, sit 4. Very good position to get the force. If you can make Yanagasawa look at enough stones with his last one, you just never know. Slight miscue can turn into a steal. Nice line coming by that tight blue corner guard. Brings his shooter in, grabs a nibble of the 4-foot, in behind cover. Boy, maybe even too far in behind cover now. Yanagasawa eyeing up the run back, and it's straight enough run back that he might even be able to stay in behind cover. You were only looking really to tuck a piece. That moved pretty good for them at the end. It's one where you almost can't decide how good you made that shot until you see whether or not he sticks the run back. Yamaguchi looking to drive it straight back. It's going to be just a little bit on the high side. Clips one, clips two. Spins out the top of the house. Still leaves 3 Schwaller stones, all biting the 8-foot. So now if Schwaller was to make a similar shot, get tucked in behind, the blue stones out front are overlapped. They might not have any kind of run back available. Have to be a little bit careful here. You don't want to leave a stone in a position where Yanagisawa could freeze to it for shot rock. You know he's going to try to set up a deuce with his first stone. The fourth thrower is Benoit Schwartz. Looking to do what the skipper just did. Come in around the blue corners. Just a piece this time would be ideal. Got a lot more room coming into the house. And comes to rest just biting the 8-foot, sitting 4. He didn't have the line to tuck. Probably better to be higher like that anyway. Doesn't give anything to Yanagisawa. So looking to freeze to shot stone at the back of the 8-foot. If he locks this on the corner and Schwartz tries to blast it out and ever happen to jam on that stone at the back 12, there might be a double left on the 2 reds at the top 8-foot. Long double, it'd be thin. So if you could put a good freeze on here and leave yourself some angle where it might jam onto that red on the side, backside of the 12-foot, there's no guarantee that Benoit Schwartz will just be able to blast this out. Want to try to keep center line side, if anything, if you can, and that's just going to over curl a little bit, and that definitely allows him the chance to blast it out. Nose hit works. You could play the big roll towards your own stone at the back. You just don't want to kill it and roll out, but if you roll right into it, you're still sitting 3, and then there won't be anything really to use as backing for a draw. Great weight on that last draw, just curled maybe 2/3 of a rock too much. Schwartz comes down, makes the hit, does roll towards his own stone, sits right on top of it. Does sit 4. Yanagisawa going to play the draw, same draw he just threw. Needs full 8-foot, pick up his single. but it's still a draw against 4. And really, with 3 of those stones around the outside, all pretty equal, this is either going to be a score of a single point or it's going to be a big steal. Brushers jumped this one right out of his hand. Backing away now, so they feel the weight's close. Pretty close to the same line he had on the last one. They pick it up again at the hog line. Good judgment by the Brushers. They bring that stone into the top of the 8-foot. He does pick up his single point. Yannick Schwaller will take a 3-2 lead and last rock into the 5th end.
Imagine a place with endless possibilities. Imagine a place where people come together to build families, businesses, and communities. Imagine a place where small-town values and progressive qualities are in perfect harmony. Imagine a place rich with so much vitality. Imagine your future in Martensville.
We asked Saskatchewan what they know about 5G.
More speed, more innovation.
It's gonna make our lives a whole heck of a lot easier.
This is what 5G looks like.
Better, faster.
Sounds like one more G. Sounds pretty good.
I don't know what it means.
All you really need to know is the future of 5G is here and will continue improving through investments in network technology.
Sean Joyce here with you live from the Curling Stadium Martensville International. The men's final. Yannick Schwaller with a 3-2 lead over Riku Yanagasawa. As we begin play here in the 5th end, it is Schwaller with last rock. Yanagasawa looking for the center guard. Saw Schwaller in the 3rd end opt to come around the center guard. Looks like the call is going to be the same here in the 5th. Haven't laid a brush to this one so far. Wants to keep it in front of the tee line. Will stop just in front. Back edge of that stone might even be touching the tee line. Yanagasawa looking for another center guard now. A little tighter. In behind the long one. Well, gets another center guard, but still quite long. Overlaps the 2 of them. We're not going to be happy with that. That's a situation that allows Yannick Schwaller at the first opportunity to double peel. Those 2 go pretty easy. Still on the 4th stone to the end here. Can't do it yet, so going to come around again. This time right around to the top of the 8-foot, in front of his first stone. This is a really good setup here early for the Schwaller team here in this 5th end. The two guards overlapped, almost touching each other. It's a pretty easy double peel. Yanagasawa up there looking at, is there any way we can move these around a little bit, make it a little tougher at least? Your other option is to just come right around them. Realize that those two guards are essentially only one guard. They're going to get peeled on the next attempt. So looking to follow that last stone down, maybe try to nudge it up a little bit, create a wall with the two reds. Yamamoto looks like maybe he felt something underneath the rock. So a little bit more thorough job cleaning it up after you feel something there. Really going to have to go to get by the guard now. Not going to, just rubs. Staying with it, they do get it into the 12-foot. There's a saving grace for Yanagasawa off that particular shot is that now Yannick Schwaller probably can't play the double peel because it may well drag right into the two stones in the 4-foot. So looking to come around again. Touches their own stone up, bounces off a little bit. Does leave a bit of a pocket. Chance for Yamamoto to freeze in there. If he just straight freezes right now, I think he might be third. Going to come down, nudge off the stone that was just thrown, and sit on the corner of the other one. It looks to be Schwaller sitting 3, but that blue stone is a problem, and there's no way to get rid of it in one attempt. And the scary thing is the lineup on the double peel. Here you see the indication. We can't hit it on Benoit Schwartz coming down to take a look. Can't hit it on the right side as the thrower looks at it, or it's going to drag back into the stones in the 4-foot. So he's looking at playing the double peel from the open side. Hard to get the top one all the way out of the rings. He's just hoping to spin it off the center line. The drag should go the other way, hitting it from that side. Still a chance it could hit something. I mean, there's 5 rocks there, and the only way to get it through without touching anything would be if it went between the blue, the top 12-foot, and the red sitting in the 8-foot. That's looks like a skinny port. That's what Schwaller's talking about. He could still come off that stone and in. I guess if you were just worried about peeling one, you could just try to pick the back one. hate to flirt with going by it, though. Back to his initial call, gonna play the peel from the open side. At least you know that the stone that's being dragged shouldn't go back into the 4 and the 4-foot. Hard to say how far the other one will go off the line. Didn't get much drag there at all. He hit it fairly close to in line, which at least allows him to put it through the hole. Yanagasawa took a bit of a spill there catching the rock. I don't think he expected it to go through the hole. I think he was expecting to catch it off something else. Says he's okay. Up and looking at what he's got to throw at here. Good to hit that blue right on the nose, make the double on the 2 reds, and you could still sit lined up blue onto the red that shot rock. That ice, I don't think he's looking to throw very hard at this, so maybe just trying to jiggle some things around, maybe put a red stone behind the tee line and leave the blue lined up into the reds. Yamaguchi looking for the tap. Blue onto red behind the tee line ideally. This is really curling early. Might have got this going. Gonna have to go to get by the guard. It's just by the blue stone in the rings as well. Moves the red over a little bit, but his shooter rolls out into the open. Schwaller sitting 2. Perhaps a little bit fortunate there for Yanagasawa that when they moved that red stone, they still left the pocket, so their blue stone at the top of the 8-foot, still a difficult stone for Schwaller to do anything with. He could play a hit on the open one and roll across, but then he's got 3 rocks in behind that one. You can see what they're looking at with that blue stone. You need 2 shots, really. Maybe 3 even to have a shot to get it out. But the other side of that is that right now, with the 2 red stones in the 4-foot being corner frozen on one another, Yanagasawa, in order to get shot rock, would either have to blast it or he needs to bump it twice. So make the play on the open stone. Probably sit 4 off this. Got room to roll a little bit to the outside. You could roll under as well. Might even be nice to roll just edge to edge with the guard so that if Yanagasawa does make some kind of tap up, you could still use this stone. Makes the hit, rolls an inch or 2 to the outside. Sits 4. Yanagasawa looking to come off that stone into the red at the top of the forefoot. Looking at the same attempt again as well. Questions coming from the other end. I think part of the question here is how far do you want to tap this? Because with the stagger that's on them now, you could create a path to get that blue out if you tap this too hard now. Looks like he's throwing enough weight here to try to move both reds. This is going to have to curl. He's still very thin on the blue at all. Touches it. Shooter touches the other red beside it. Spins all the way out. And it's still Schwaller sitting 2. Maybe now has a chance to get that blue stone out. You saw him indicate he could come off his own stone at the top of the 8-foot. Take that one out the side. See him talking about the freeze into the reds. I don't think that's a shot they're looking at playing. I think that's the one they're worried about leaving. His first indication here was to come off of his own and try to kill that blue stone at the top of the forefoot. That's the one they've come back to. It's thinner than you think. When they make contact with the red stone, there's still a rock's width in front of that blue. You want to come more into the side of it if you can. You can actually hit this fairly thin. Probably about a third of a rock. Come dead into the side of that rock, push it straight sideways, and have your shooter stay right there. Had the brush on early now, already switching sides, try to get some extra curl. He's going to be pretty thick on the first one, comes across, just nudges it. Probably enough to take away any kind of freeze into the pocket, but it's still Schwaller only sitting 2 right now. Yanagasawa looking at the blue-red combination just to tap it back forefoot. Still needs to have something protecting it from the back. Now you could always blast that and kill the red stone. The problem is then there'd be room to pick out the blue stone for 3. Probably looking to come down, tap the blue-red combination, move that red to the back 4, maybe into the back 8-foot, and then ideally you leave the blue-blue combination lined up to the shot stone. Not a great situation here for Yanagisawa, looking to salvage something. Needs to give himself a way to get in for shot rock. Try to take away this end at the same time. It doesn't want to leave a chance for Benoit Schwartz to be able to remove his stone. Makes the little tap and probably did move it just a little bit too far. There's room now to make the double. Either moved it a little bit too far or didn't get close enough to the nose because he left the angle where the two blues can both fly. Yanagisawa is going to have a shot at the hit and roll off shot rock after this is made. May elect to just freeze when he's playing against 4. Do think Schwartz, in order to make sure he's got the double and clears the reds, he's got to hit this a little on the outside, so his shooter's probably rolling out. Maybe not all the way out of the rings, but towards the outside. Got big weight. Makes the hit perhaps a little thicker on the first one than he would have liked. Clips one of his own on the way by, but his shooter does stay. So sitting 4. Probably makes any thought of the freeze unlikely. There's no pocket there now. Might be looking to just chisel in off that shot stone, come down heavy draw, get it to the inside of it, move it back a little bit, and have your shooter roll to the back of the button. And I think with that ice, that's what he's looking at. Might not necessarily be playing to kill this stone. He could. This is all about where you roll to, though. This young man has made big shot after big shot all day. Looking for another one here, facing 4 without last rock. Needs to find a way to get in under cover. Coming off the Schwaller stone. Makes the tap. Shooter comes in, sits half the button. Didn't get the stone out the back, but Schwaller at the most sitting 3 right now, and I don't know if he's got a direct path into that. The question is, do you play the double for 5? It's thin, it's definitely there. It's a more natural angle if you could play it off your own, but you can just barely see enough of your own stone to make it. There's a good look at the stone at the back. It did stay for what is 5th shot right now. So even if you're coming off your own here, this is a shot for 4. I think they may be opting to come off their own. The angle's a little more natural. You're looking for something just a shade under half, which you can see that much. The other one is so thin, those are really hard to call. Pressure's on right away. He is playing it off the top one, makes the contact, comes across, makes contact with the second one, but dead stuffs it on the rock at the back. And it looks like it's a steal of 1 for Yanagasawa. Dodges a bullet here in the 5th end. Could have been a score of as much as 5. As turns out, it's a steal of 1. We're all tied up after 5 ends of play.
We asked Saskatchewan what they know about 5G.
More speed, more innovation.
It's gonna make our lives a whole heck of a lot easier.
This is what 5G looks like.
Better, faster.
Sounds like one more G. Sounds pretty good.
I don't know what it means.
All you really need to know is the future of 5G is here and will continue improving through investments in network technology.
Sixth end just underway here. Yanagasawa, after dodging a bullet there in that 5th end, calling for the center guard. They've got this one up high. Yannick Schwaller and 4th stone thrower Benoit Schwartz just a whisker away from perhaps ending this game in 5. If he hits that first stone any thinner, he comes more into the side of the second one and pushes it across the back one as it is with the jam. It's a steal of 1. We're tied up. Schwaller still with last rock here. And playing in the even ends. With last rock, Schwaller going to ask for the corner guard.
Sean, Jason Chang here. Tight game that you have. Yanagasawa and Schwaller 3-3. The women's final ended a bit early. Clancy Grandy with the 7-1 victory over Silvana Tiranzoni. So we're jumping over and joining you on the call here.
All right, glad to have you. I feel a little silly talking to myself all the time.
Well, you've got company. You might have more. Matt Hall, 2019 Canadian World Junior Champion. He's also jumping over, and he's got his big stats book as well. So
I'll leave it to Sean to tell us how's this game been going so far. Looks like a very tight one. Looks like Yanagasawa somehow escaped with a steal of 1. I checked in halfway through the end, and Schwaller was sitting 4. Thought it could be game over.
I was just talking about it just as we came back from the break. Schwaller had a double for 5 with his last one and hit the first stone just a hair too thick. Made contact on the second one, but dead jammed it on a stone in the back, and it ended up being a steal of 1. If he hits the first one any thinner at all, I might be joining you in the lounge. As it is, though, tied up. Schwaller still with last rock. Already one miscue just as you were joining me. The Yanagasawa team playing the second guard hogged it. So Schwaller's had a chance to use his corner guard already, and there's only the one high center guard to deal with. This is the fifth rock of the end, and they'll be able to start peeling after that.
I recall these two teams did play in the preliminary round. Yanagasawa came away with the victory, I believe.
Yes, that was their second game, Friday morning draw. Mentioned to the viewers off the top, and I talked about it again in the semifinal. Had a chance to cover the Yanagasawa team a few times. Just a weird quirk in the draw. You never know who you're going to play in the preliminary round, and as things worked out, they actually played every one of the other four teams that made the playoffs in the preliminary round. So you can't say they got in here by having a soft schedule. Everybody they played made the playoffs.
And they still came out of that with a 4-1 record. So maybe a name that some people here in Canada aren't quite used to, but showing that they deserve to be right here in the final.
Yeah, for Canadians and Americans, maybe the more familiar name on that team is their third rock thrower, Tsuyoshi Yamaguchi. Tsuyoshi's been around the block in international curling a lot, have played in a couple Olympic Games with his former skip, Yusuke Morozumi. He's also very active on Twitter, commentating Japanese games, particularly Japanese women's games.
Might have overcurled the guard a little bit there. There's room on that same side. From that side, you might be able to roll over towards your corner guard as well.
Well, that would certainly be good with that blue guard where it is. Not only not on the center, but up fairly high. And we've seen that you can dig out a lot of stones that appear to be buried when the guards end up that high.
Making the hit, gets the long roll, but not quite long enough to get in behind cover. Might have left the double, and given that the guard situations you were just talking about, not great in the center, you might want to take care of these two red stones on the corner while you have the chance. We have seen this team, they've got the ability to throw some big weight when they want to do it too. You could actually play the double and try to get that 5-foot roll in behind cover. The double is just off the nose, but they certainly can throw it hard enough to play a shot like that where you hit just off the nose and still get a 5-foot roll.
That would certainly be a bit of a hit against the Schwaller team. They looked like they had something pretty nicely set up with that one behind the guard. Tried to maybe get a little bit greedy to roll their own shot. This one, well, they do get it by just to get rid of the one, but definitely had an opportunity there to take it away from Team Schwaller.
Probably caught them a little bit by surprise there. You don't expect that kind of weight to curl that much. Now, we don't know whether he maybe was pinched tight on the release, but don't imagine they expected to over curl. Threw that plenty hard.
It's interesting to see both Swiss teams in the finals on the men's and the women's side, the individual calling the game, the skip throwing third stones. In this case, Yannick Schwaller, Benoit Schwartz throwing those fourth stones.
Schwartz has been a fourth rock thrower for a long time now. He was throwing the fourth rocks when he was playing with Peter de Cruz as well. De Cruz was skipping, but I believe for most of that run playing second stones.
Yeah, and it sounds like the new Rachel Homan Tracy Fleury team is going to use that setup as well, at least in the first part of the season, see how that goes. I believe Tracy Fleury will call the game and throw third stones, and Rachel Homan will throw the last ones, if I'm not mistaken.
I think that's what I heard.
Yep, that's correct. That'll be an interesting lineup. Of course, Tracy coming off possibly the season of her life where she was maybe the #1 team in the world for a long, long time and just sort of faltered in that Olympic trials final and unfortunately got COVID just before the Scotties and they weren't able to perform there, splitting up. And so she comes on to an already, of course, very strong Rachel Homan team, and I'm sure they'll find success pretty quickly.
Yannick Schwaller brings that draw into the back of the 8 foot. I don't think they were trying to get anywhere near the guard, just trying to put a rock in a position where it's tough for Yanagisawa to do anything with it. He could play the hit and roll behind cover off that, but he'd be so far back, as we've already talked about. You can get to a rock like that and get it out, keep your shooter. He's got the house well split right now, looking to get his deuce. This Japanese squad is very deliberate. They do talk about things a lot. I've thought about it a few times and then had to correct myself, or really just stop myself from saying it. I wish I had mics so that I knew what they were saying, and then it occurs to me that I wouldn't know what they were saying if I did have mics. So, but there is a lot of communication coming back and forth. They do talk everything out.
Well, I was making that observation. I was following along with the men's game on my second screen here, and you guys, we started at it just about the same time, and by the end there, you were almost a full end behind. So I figured there must be quite a bit of discussion going on
Yeah,
over here.
this is about the fourth game that I've covered the Japanese team, and I have noticed that they are very deliberate. Now, in the preliminary round, when there were 4 sheets going, a lot of times the players would come down. This is the only game left on the ice, so they can do it from T line to hack. They don't have to come down. They can hear each other, but they do make sure they communicate. 4 shots like this, everybody's got to be on the same page. It is a bit of a new lineup. Skip and third have switched positions this year, and they've got a new player in at second.
Yeah, no time clocks at this tournament and in most tour events, but I believe this is the team that will be heading to the Pan-Continental Curling Championships, and at World Curling Federation events there will be time clocks, so it is something to work on as this season progresses. Those Pan-Continentals will start at the end of October and run through the first week of November in Calgary, Winsport Arena.
And that's the first year for that event, the first time that Canada will have to qualify for the World Championships without playing someone like Mexico or the United States.
Yeah, there's going to be an A and a B division. It's modeled after the European Championships, a combination of the Americas zone and the Pacific Asia Africa zone. So you'll see teams like Korea, Japan, China, Canada, United States. They're the big 5 that's going to be in the A division.
I have to think they were trying to bring that stone just a little bit deeper so that perhaps it would get in behind the longer guard. Left it fully exposed. Schwaller going to make a play on just peeling the tight guard. That's the only thing he's worried about.
Careful not to jam it, but nicely done.
Gets rid of that little hanger around at the back too. I don't think, even if you jammed onto it dead, I don't think it was going to be biting the rings.
I was wondering whether they should corner freeze on the rock behind the corner guard, but unfortunately you're not even shot rock if you do that.
No, yeah, you'd be second, and Schwaller would just split the rings again, and he's content to take 2 here. We're down to skip stones. around the center guard again at some point in time, and we might be there. You might be at the point where you have to just make sure you don't give up 3. And if you're drawing here, there is a chance to give up 3.
I guess the question comes down to if you're okay with giving up a 2. If a 2 is too much for you, then you kind of have to find some way to try and limit them down. I don't really see much though. I mean,
yeah, I'd like to know how you plan to do that. Really, I guess if he wants to cut him down, he's got the same shot. He can play the same shot they just tried. Get a tight center guard around the longer one. You know that they're not going to be able to peel the tight one if you do that, and you've got something to go around. But if you're playing with giving up 3, or you do that, perhaps even 4. I'm a little surprised that he's going after this rock.
Yeah, I mean,
you rub the guard coming by, and it's 3.
And we've already seen them overcurl on a shot in this spot when they were trying to make that big weight double and missed it on the inside.
Well, and it's not like you're setting up a steal or a force by playing this rock. You know, you're still giving up 2 by playing this rock. Well, you could give up 2 by playing the one that you can see.
There's not going to be any doubles. It's not like you're trying to group the stones. Yeah, it's a little bit tricky. That being said, you know, if you don't like the shot, suggest a better one. I'm not really sure, other than, as you said, maybe trying to sink another tight guard around that.
Well, I think if
other
you're
one.
content to give up 2, you hit the open stone.
Right.
If you're trying to force or steal, you need to throw the second guard. I just think he threw the hardest shot he could find, and it wasn't going to get him.
Now, timeouts are allowed in this tournament. We've seen some teams, particularly the international ones, who have a coach here, call timeouts. I know Bob Ursel is coaching this Japanese squad. Have they used the timeout yet this game?
They haven't in this game. I have seen them use, this is the 4th game where I've covered this team. I have seen them use timeouts a couple of times. I think once last night in the final preliminary round game, they were playing Steve Laycock. They might have caught Bob by surprise because I think he was already in his beach attire. Had to come out to ice level in shorts. Of course, it was a warm one here yesterday, into the mid-30s.
Well, I think some of these international teams, when they come to Canada and compete for the first time in September or October, they're surprised at how warm it is. We're not always the great white north, but just too short of a summer season.
Putting that stone back in almost the exact same place, sitting 2. So now they're going to try to make a play on the open stone and perhaps roll to the back of the 8-foot. At least try to make it a little bit more difficult for Benoit Schwartz to make the hit for 2. Yanagisawa, his final stone here in the 6th end. A tie game. Without last rock, facing 2, looking for the hit and roll. Leaping to hold the line this time, makes the hit. This one's going to roll just a little bit too far as well. It'll be a chance for Benoit Schwartz, throwing the 4th stones for the Schwaller team, to draw any piece of the rings to pick up his deuce here. Looks like they're going to opt to play a similar shot to the one he just threw. You've seen this a little bit more as the event wore on. A lot of times when a skip's got a chance for the free draw to score like this, he'll throw to the wider part of the rings, come right into the button area. You got 12 feet from the front to the back, but the paths have been a little bit different here, especially for the last couple of days. So if you just threw one on the first attempt, I've seen a number of skips that are more inclined to throw the exact same shot on the second one, just because you know the path. Brings it right down to the tee line, corner of the 8-foot. Does pick up his 2 points, so Schwaller with a 5-3 advantage after 6 ends of play. Yanagisawa will have last rock in the 7th.
SaskTel Be Kind Online wants to stop cyberbullying. Want in on the action? You can get a grant to help. We award up to $1,000 for youth initiatives that help spread kindness and prevent bullying. It's easy. SaskTel has already given away tens of thousands of dollars. There have been lots of great ideas, including kids giving cookies to others, a group set up to welcome newcomers to their school, random acts of kindness, and so much more. The ideas and opportunities are endless. What great idea do you have to help stop bullying? SaskTel can help. Go to BeKindOnline.com and apply for a grant today. Together, we can make a difference.
Welcome back, everyone. 7th end just underway. Schwaller forced him after taking 2 in 6. Not wanting the center guard here, so Schwaller himself comes out to help sweep, but he's got lots of weight there, brings that into the top of the 8-foot. See, Yanagisawa now will call for the corner guard.
Well, Sean and Matt, it's been an amazing week here in Martensville. Great crowds in the studio, great viewership on all the online streams. Of course, Curling Zone and Curling Stadium making all of that possible. I've certainly enjoyed calling the games with you, Sean, as well as Matt over the last number of days. Sad to see it coming to an end here, but a possibly exciting end to this game.
Yeah, and just a big thank you to the crews running all the tech for us. I mean, we just get to sit here and talk for a couple hours a day, which is kind of nice, but they're the ones doing all the heavy lifting in the background, making sure that everything comes to everyone watching at home. So thank you to them. I believe the next Curling Stadium event is just next weekend, one province over in Alberta.
Yeah, it's the Curling Stadium Alberta Series, second leg in Leduc. We'll have a couple more within that series over the course of the next few months.
And that's no slouch of an event either. Some big names, of course, teams we saw this weekend, such as Michael Brunner, Kyler Kleibrink, Mike McEwen, this Yannick Schwaller team, but some new big names as well. Teams like Tanner Horgan debuting his new squad, Aaron Slichinsky, who I believe won the first Curling Stadium event last weekend, or the Alberta Curling Series event, excuse me. Yanagisawa is in that event, and some other big names as well, so that'll be one that you'll want to tune in to next weekend for sure if you want to catch some great curling games.
Well, Matt, you're a former Canadian World Junior Champion. Sean, I know you played on the tour a number of years ago. I could throw a couple of rocks at Lee. Maybe they should give an invitation to the commentators to enter one of these Curling Stadium events. We can call our own games while we're on the ice.
I think my days of doing that are past. I actually played in a doubles event in Martensville in this exact venue at the start of the year last year. And it was one of the first ones. It's actually the one where they mounted the cameras and they were putting them up. And I still insist to this day, and Jerry Gertz will argue with me, but I don't think the cameras were working that well because I think they were wide. I think the cameras should have been set to narrow everything up. I looked, the cameras looked like they were adding about 20 pounds at least, and there had to be 8 cameras out there.
Well, I think if you pay the crew a little bit of money, buy them a few beverages, they might be able to do something about it. I might look like a stick, though, so I'm not sure I'm in favor of that completely. But, you know, if you don't want to sweep, that's okay. The Swiss model works really well. You can take the broom. We can do the sweeping.
Anything's better than the doubles. I had to jump up and sweep my own rocks a few times.
You just got to pick your doubles partners wisely.
Well, I picked one that was the same age as me. That might not have been a good idea.
There's your problem.
And if we get producer Jerry as our fourth thrower, you're going to get a good draw schedule out of it too. So
No
Jerry
8
was
a.m. morning games, please.
Jerry was actually playing in that doubles event as well. We didn't come up against each other. I will tell you, one of us made the final, and it wasn't him.
Just rubbing salt in the wound there, Sean.
I may as well, eh?
Let us know if you're invited back next weekend to continue talking.
I haven't seen the email. Yannick Schwaller continuing to put some pressure on Yanagisawa here as we play in the 7th end. He's got the 2-point lead. The first 2 rocks into the rings. Of course, he expected Yanagisawa to ignore that and play the corner, but now a good guard. Top 4, back 4. Yanagisawa wanting to move something, but he doesn't really want to start hitting things because he doesn't want to see the end disappear on him. So thinking with that broom, maybe just a quiet tap. And really, he probably won't be heartbroken if this rubs the guard on the way by. Might be able to get the shooter into the rings as well that way.
Yeah, as long as you're very deliberate about your weight selection, something where, you can touch the guard and still spin into the rings. Probably just a nice, easy hack weight. You don't want to overthrow this.
Of course, this is, I've got a bit of an advantage. As I said, it's my 4th game covering these guys, so I've seen them play these types of shots before. Now, this one looked like, to me, he might have come over the top a little bit. This is going absolutely sideways on him. Not his typical release. Does move the stone out from covering shot rock and keeps his shooter for a corner guard, so not all bad.
Though you're going to see probably Schwaller throw up another guard here, and with that red stone moving to the center line, you won't really have access to those shot stones anymore. You may be forced to play some kind of come around draw.
You might, but if you're Yanagisawa right now, as long as you've kept Schwaller from peeling the rocks on the corner, you might be happy. You've got something to work with at least. You're 2 points down here. You can't afford to have him peeling out too early. Keeping rocks in play can only help you. Looking for that last little bit of curl here. He does want to cover that shot rock. Comes up just enough to get dead buried. Yanagisawa now looking to play the tighter guard on a bit of an angle in towards shot stone. Doesn't necessarily need to absolutely kill both of them. Would like to get the one off the top of the 4-foot. That one at the back of the 4-foot really isn't bothering him. Probably would like to keep the shooter in play here, and this one over curling as well. Catches the top one, comes across, removes his own stone from the top of the 12-foot. The shooter stays, but it's exposed now. Third stones, Schwaller going to play the guard again.
I think so, although that kind of looks like quite a bit of ice. Have you been seeing that much curl so far this game?
That's pretty close to what they've been taking, and of course, even when it's, it has straightened out a bit in the last couple of days, but there's still plenty of curl. You did see on the last one, in the last 10 feet, it still crossed the center line and got to dead covered. There's still some late movement on this particular spot. Pushers have switched already, looking for a little more curl. Needs to get across the center line. Question of whether or not it's going to slide far enough to get there. Had to bring it a little tighter to bury this time, but does cover the shot stone. Yanagasawa already has the broom down. They've decided it's time to come around.
Well, this is a critical shot right here.
Yeah, you almost need to think about over curling this one. Almost you're thinking about trying to freeze to that back red stone to try not leave any kind of a run back for Team Schwaller.
That's what I was looking at, if there's any way to get it there.
Sweeper's working early though.
Not sure this is going to get by the red. It's going to be tight. Oh, and it will just rub coming by. Shooter comes over. Sits cornered on his own. He does have third and fourth, pardon me. Schwaller probably can't play the double on them though. It probably comes right into the red stone at the top of the 12 or top of the 8.
I think so, but if you ever could draw, just sort of bite forefoot with the in-turn, there's not an easy way for Yanagasawa to come in there. He may have to end up tapping and playing that little bump and roll himself just to get to the forefoot.
No doubt. You'd love to be able to hit those 2 stones when you're Schwaller, you're up 2. You hate to leave them hanging around, but it's just not safe. You do have a good situation in the middle right now. Continue to put the pressure on here. Well, swept that like they were playing the guard all the way. So now for Yanagasawa, you might have to play the angle tap on the blue. You can hit it on the nose, bring it in off your own stone, and leave the shooter in a position where you'd still have another tap. That might be your only way to get 2. Can't tell for sure if they're talking about, he did tap the red rock. Are they looking at perhaps playing it with weight and try to kill the red stone at the top of the forefoot? There's a little bit of danger there because you can't guarantee exactly how that stone's going to come off.
Yeah, it looks pretty close to that. It should be somewhere close to at least that back red, but there is a hole there that you need to be careful. If it ever springs right through, you're in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought they might just play it with well, draw weight, but when you're coming off your own, you probably have to throw almost half of your hand. Has to be close to the nose here. Makes the nose hit, brings the blue across, spins to the back forefoot and ends up corner frozen on the stone at the back, and left his shooter in a position where he does have access to the angle tap. That's about as good as you could do with that shot. And suddenly, Schwaller's not in as good a shape. Guard the blue now? I think that's what they're looking at.
Yeah, I mean, if you're Team Schwaller, you're really not all that worried about giving up a 2 at the end of the day. You'll be tied with the hammer in the last end. What you really need to avoid is giving up a 3, and I think the only way that really comes into play is if you allow him to play that tap twice. Even if you make this guard really good, there's no easy way to get another blue stone in there for second
Yeah,
shot.
exactly.
You might be able to play the wide out turn and grab the side of the forefoot, but that's no gimme.
Well, and even if you did, that's the kind of shot I think you can't really play it until your last one. If you played it
Right.
earlier than that, you might leave a slash double.
That looks like it'll do the job. Now what do you do if you're Yanagisawa? I mean, the only way I see to get another rock in there is you probably have both wide blue corners that you could tap in, or the draw, but like you said, the draw you kind of want to leave to your last one, and neither of those corners are all that easy either.
Here's the other side of it, though. If you leave the draw to the last one, and I still think ideally you'd like to, but if you leave the draw to the last one, Benoit Schwartz might just guard it.
Yeah. And then what do you do? And really, like, you want to make sure you get 2 here. You can think about stealing 1 and try and steal the 8th, but if you only get 1 here, you have to steal the 8th and the extra, and that's a big ask.
Even if you make the tap now, you're not getting more than 2 because he'll throw the guard. I wonder, do you ever think about peeling the guard that he just threw? Make sure you've got a shot on both sides. You can't take both of them away. You've got the draw on the out turn side, and if you peel that guard, you've got the in turn tap again. If you don't, this is an all or nothing shot here. If you make this shot, you're going to get 2, and if you don't make it, you won't have a shot for 2. And if ever something goes drastically wrong on this and you leave a double, game could be over right here. Can't tell what they're looking at now. It looks like they've seen something else.
Not really sure. I don't see anything with those red rocks in the middle. It's not like running anything back will do something for you.
No, I can't say that I see anything there either. Well, maybe, are they thinking if they hit the 2 reds that are side by each, do they think that one is going to come back and push that blue into the rings? I don't think it's ever going to get over the top enough to push it towards the 4-foot. Might be able to push it into the 8-foot, but the 2 red stones in the rings are still covered. That doesn't really help you.
Yeah, either way, it looks like whatever they were looking at, they didn't like it, so they've decided to instead go with this long angle tap, but kind of like this is maybe a better angle, easier to get it deep in there, but you sort of run into the same problem as that draw. If you end up not tapping it far enough or put it in the bad spot, you could leave a double.
There's a lot that could go wrong with this. You could leave the double. If you hit it a little thin, you put it onto the red at the top of the 4-foot and tap it in for shot. Anything onto the side of that red stone, the blue will still be accessible. This is a big shot here now. Having said that, Yanagisawa has made big shot after big shot all day. Needs to pull one more out.
They seem to like it. I think it's close.
Actually going to be just a little bit too thick on the contact. They might have been better to sweep that back after the contact. I think he's left the double.
I think so too. Even if Benoit Schwartz doesn't make the double here and he rolls into his own red, he's going to have the right amount of spin that he could just end up spinning up into the 4-foot anyways. Chance to put this game on ice, I think, if you're Benoit Schwartz here.
Yeah, if you can stay flat enough to make the double, stay full 4-foot. I'm not even sure. You know, there's the edge of the 4-foot's available for the draw, but whether or not he can get full 4-foot or not, that I'm not so sure. Schwartz with the hit. They called the sweep on right away. He needs fairly thick contact on the first one. makes the hit, comes across and just onto his own, but does, as you said, spin up and actually probably into a better spot. There's no draw for one. He's going to have to play some kind of an angle in. Now the only good thing for Yanagasawa, if he hits this just right, could he get 3?
I
Bring
don't.
the shooter across, catch the top edge of that red onto the second one, so you double the reds, and he does have that biter at the top of the 12-foot. I think the reds go around the blue at the back.
Definitely. I think it is there. I mean, you're talking about millimeters of precision, but the possibility is there for a 3, I think. Either way,
Really,
I think this is
I think
an
if you're
all
going to
or
score,
nothing.
yeah, if you're going to score 1 here, I think you almost have to score 3. I don't see a way to make the double without.
I think you're either going into the last end up 1 or possibly shaking hands with this.
The question here is, do you play it as an in-off or do you play the angle in? And it looks like with this, they're going to play it as an in-off.
I think the in-off is a bit better, right? Because you won't have as much spin off your shooter when you come across.
You'll have a ton of spin off the shooter when you're playing into it like this. And actually, when he hits the second one, this one could spin out the top of the house.
Right. It'll be shooting sideways, but the angle is better.
The angle is definitely better. The first one, to try to shoot it in there as a slash, you'd be hitting that first one so paper thin. It's really tough shot. You'll carry more weight through with your shooter this way. And when you're trying to make a double in the house, that could matter. Had one sweeper than the other, so this has got to be close. Makes contact, catches the third one. Now is it going to leave the rings? Wow, he hit that where he needed to hit it to get 3, not able to quite get it all the way out of the rings. He will pick up 2, but within a couple of inches of taking the lead, we're all tied up after 7 ends.
We asked Saskatchewan what they know about 5G.
More speed, more innovation.
It's gonna make our lives a whole heck of a lot easier.
This is what 5G looks like.
Better, faster.
Sounds like 1 more G. Sounds pretty good.
I don't know what it means.
All you really need to know is the future of 5G is here and will continue improving through investments in network technology.
Well, an outstanding final shot by Riku Yanagasawa came within a couple of inches of taking 3 points and the lead. An in-off double. Ties it up as we play the 8th end here. They throw the first for center guard. It's a little bit off the line. Schwaller looking for a kick shot here. They won't mind putting this into the ring. They just want to get it off the center line.
James, that was more than outstanding of a shot.
Ended up hitting that a little thicker than they would have liked. Puts it through the back. We'll That is a free guard zone violation. They put the stone back, remove the shooter. Yanagisawa now will ask for another center guard.
Sean, based on where all the rocks ended up after that fantastic last end shot from Yanagisawa, they probably could have gotten it for 3.
Oh yeah, for sure. It's a whisker different hit. The second one obviously jammed just a little bit too solid, but really at point of contact, we're talking about just a fraction of, maybe a millimeter different might have been enough.
Yeah, I think a millimeter thinner on the first rock, and you'll get it
a little bit
just
more into
perfect.
the back of the second one and not quite as thick of a jam on the third one, and that was the issue, that the third one just jammed a little bit too much, and they were ready with the sweep, just couldn't spin it far enough out of the rings.
Yeah, just 3 or 4 inches more of a roll, and they would have gotten their 3. While still, subarashi, as they might say in Japanese. Great shot.
Well, with 2 guards up there, not going to attempt the second tick shot. And don't think they wanted it where it ended up either. It ends up in the back 4 foot out in the open. So looking for the come around here, and then I think we can expect the peels will start.
Unfortunately, that first guard wasn't on the center line. They got the staggered guard situation, so the double peels would be a little bit easier.
Brings that stone in to just nibble the top of the 4 foot, but it is second shot. Now the double peel is the call. You get this over the top of the second one, you might even be able to bring it back and maybe move that stone off the top of the 4 foot. You risk jamming it on your own, but really if it gets behind the tee line, it's not worth it. Gets the double peel by the rocks in the rings.
Yeah, tie game in the last end, and Matt Hall was telling me earlier that at the top level, men's, the Hammer team in this situation probably has an 80, 85, perhaps even higher percentage of winning, depending on the team. So definitely Team Schwaller favorites here to take that champion's check, but it's not over yet.
No, it's not over yet, and they've seen Riku Yanagisawa pick their pocket a few times already in this game, so I don't think they're going to be counting their chickens yet. They won't be happy until they can see the button with the last one.
Not sure how many chickens there are in Switzerland, but I think they have a lot of sheep.
These are always those situations. It's really hard when you're in the position where you need to steal, because it takes you 25 seconds to put that guard in play, and you're not even back to the hog line yet, and they've already peeled it. Now you got to turn around and sweep again.
Well, they just got to keep putting up a good guard here. Make sure they don't leave a guard that's off the center line, something that Team Schwaller might be tempted to run into the blue one. I think both these teams, by making the final, have pocketed 5,000 Canadian dollars. But the winner's check is 10,000. So 5,000 on the line here. And I love those events in Japan where they have these big novelty checks with 1 million yen. And that's $10,000 approximately in Canadian, but it sounds so much more when it's 1 million yen.
You see all those zeros and you get excited, do you? Well, that guard curls just enough that it teased Yannick Schwaller. He thought about making a play on the stone at the top of the forefoot just because he can see a sliver of it. But opting to peel the guard. Be interesting here in this situation. You know, he's from the hacks, maybe thinking he can see enough of it. That guard is fairly high. If you could get to the stone in the rings, that guard by itself, it's not a great guard. It's a little higher than they would have liked. Still thought he would just straight peel it. And I was just about to ask you the question, Jason. What point in the end do you think Yanagisawa changes gears, or does he? Would you guard this right up to the last stone, and then on your very final stone, do you tap that one up, or do you make a play on the red one?
Yeah,
You're not shot rock right now, so you have to do something eventually, but you could wait right to the last stone.
I would wait right to the last stone. I think you do want to bring this guard a little bit tighter on your second last stone. Not too tight to induce the double, but a little bit tighter, right in line. And then hopefully you get a chance to maybe play a hidden roll off that red one. Maybe sit two and force Benoit Schwartz to make a double and stick for the win.
So they did go back to the peel and makes that.
Yeah, we'll see how this plays out. Ruben goes down, so another guard, not unexpected here.
No, it does maybe put something in your head here. You do know that Schwaller came down on his last one, so he's got to be thinking, hey, if we're not dead in line here, he's going to make a play on shot stone. Looks like he's got nice line coming in now. Is this going to stop in time? Well, if he was thinking about it the last time, he can see a little bit more this time, but the guard is tighter. So just playing the straight peel again. And it'll be just the skip stones left to come. Schwaller with the peel rolls his shooter out of play. Yanagisawa surveying the situation. He's thinking about playing into the rings now.
I'd love to see them call a timeout and get Bob Bursell out again. I want to see if he's in his Hawaiian outfit.
Well, I didn't say it was Hawaiian, just the beach attire. He had his trunks on.
No Speedos here, right?
I think the days for Speedos are past.
For his age, yes.
Well, he's my age, so I'm not going to go too far there. Looking at freezing the back one, that That was his first indication. You could just straight guard again. Problem
Sean,
with
if you go
freezing.
straight guard, what does Schwaller do? Do they just peel off the guard again? If the guard is
I think
perfect, do you just peel again?
I think he's still peeling the guard, because what do? You play into the rings, and no matter what you do, he's going to either be able to come in off that one, or what you leave him with the next one. He's got to peel the guard. He's got to make sure the middle's open for his last one. The problem, if he's playing the freeze here, and I think he might be, is that if you're dead frozen on the red stone, this isn't last rock. Benoit Schwartz can play the angle slash of the blue and just try to kill everything, because if he jams it, it's still behind the tee line, and that doesn't hurt him. I think they did go back to the guard. That's probably the right call.
Yeah, that's what I would have done for sure.
And he puts it dead lined up. They're looking about whether or not they want to run it through. Talking about coming off their own, a little bit risky. They talked about a couple of different shots, but I think in the end, going back to the straight peel.
And I think this is the wisest.
Yeah, it all boils down to really the shot that Yanagisawa probably has to play on his next one, is to hit and roll over to the back of the button. If he makes it dead perfect, it's still a very short double. And if it's anything less than dead perfect, you've got a shot for one coming down to it. With whatever weight you want to throw, depends how much you can see. Front edge of that stone's at the tee line, so if he plays the hit and roll over, his rock's going to be basically splitting the tee line. There's only going to be a foot and a half between the two blue stones. That's a pretty short double. I'm surprised, and that's the other shot that they could play, and that's the one where they can get a little more separation, is if they play the straight back tap on their own. He'd still have the double, but there'd be more separation between the two rocks, and he wouldn't have it either way. He'd have to play it one way, because the red stone is there on the other side to jam on.
I guess you can also corner freeze onto the red one.
You could, but then a nose hit probably wins.
Yep, it would be a nose hit, but you can't roll away, so I think they've decided to hit and flop behind, leave Benoit Schwartz a double.
Well, there is the possibility with the double being short enough, maybe if he makes the double, he has to roll out. And then you're looking at an extra end at least. Hard to know until you see exactly where they come to rest. If you can leave them dead in line, and there's only about a foot and a half between them, it's possible he has to hit it far enough off the nose that he loses the shooter too.
That would result in a blank and a extra end that way.
They're going to have to go just to hold the shooter here. Well, now it's straightened up. Thought he got inside the nose pretty early. Makes the hit. Does roll over, but doesn't get it quite dead in behind. So there definitely is room to get the double and stay in the house.
Nose or just off the nose a little bit.
With the weight that Benoit can throw, he can probably get away with nose.
Well, Sean, it's been an exciting game so far, and it's going to be an exciting finish here.
Benoit Schwartz, fourth thrower for the Schwaller team. Final stone here in the 8th end, needs the double for the win. He's been off and on and close. Makes the hit, catches the second stone. Now will the shooter hang around? No, it's going to roll out, and we're going to have an extra end.
Wow.
Dodges another bullet. Yanagasawa lives to play one more end. Bonus coverage for the viewers at home.
Imagine a place with endless possibilities. Imagine a place where people come together to build families, businesses, and communities. Imagine a place where small-town values and progressive qualities are in perfect harmony. Imagine a place rich with so much vitality. Imagine your future in Martensville.
Saskatchewan, you know SaskTel because we're everywhere. Because being everywhere keeps us connected to you. You are what matters most. With SaskTel sponsorships, we get to be a part of your community. From the dance competitions, to the rodeos, to helping discover and embrace technology across the province. We're here with you, and we're here for you. It's easy to get started. All you need to do is apply. Every year, SaskTel contributes nearly $3 million to approximately 1,000 nonprofits, charities, associations, and events in more than 200 communities across Saskatchewan. So keep dancing, keep laughing, keep discovering, and we'll be there to help, to lend a hand, and join in the fun. SaskTel cares. Always has, always will, because we are dedicated to our home. To apply for sponsorship, visit sastel.com/sponsorships.
Well, extra end coverage here from Martensville. And it has just been one of those games, if you've had a chance to go back and take a look at the replays, there's been a few chances, both ways really. Benoit Schwartz had an in-off double opportunity for 5 in the 5th end. Jammed the stone at the back, and it ended up being a steal of 1 to tie the game. Then in the 7th, Yanagasawa with his final stone, again an in-off, almost scored 3, jammed the second one a little too solid, and it didn't spin all the way out of the rings, gets his 2 points to tie, and within an inch there of winning the game, Benoit Schwartz on his final stone makes the double, but his shooter, carrying a lot of spin, rolls just out of the rings, and so here we are in an extra end. Center guard thrown with the first one, and this time we see on the tick attempt they push it into the corner of the 8-foot and roll the shooter a little bit off center.
Okay, nice attempt there from Pablo. Would have liked to roll the shooter probably a little bit more, but that's not bad. Off the center line.
Yeah. Yanagasawa looking to guard that red stone. Schwaller looking to perhaps play the tick on that again. He could just hit the open one. The guards are off the center line now. You'll be able to peel them on your next attempt.
If you play the tick again, you could actually make it worse for yourself.
Yeah, there is that risk, right? You could put it to the center line. You push this stone into the ring so that you'd be able to hit it. Well, you may as well hit it. Hangs around in the rings. It's the kind of stone where you try to stay on a shot like that, because if it comes down to an open hit with the last one, you might not have to stay now. And yet it's far enough out to the side that it's not going to be in your way if you do have to throw something to the middle with your last shot.
Yeah, they wish they had that kicker in the last end.
Yeah. Yamamoto now being asked to play the come around on those two guards that are off the center line. Plenty of room coming by. This looks like a lot of weight.
Yeah, this is going to slip well deep. It's a big mistake here.
Hangs around, but I think Schwaller might still be shot. And the reason that matters, if the guards all disappear and you want to be sitting two to try to steal your one, well, that rock's not going to help you. Back 8 foot even. The guards all disappear. You can sit one top 8 foot. You're sitting two. You force Schwaller into a decision, but that rock is already second shot. That kicker already has you beat, and he would just have to make shot rock go away. A lot of rocks to come before we see how that plays out.
Be a bit careful.
I was a little surprised to see him peel it that direction, to be honest.
Me too. Wondering if Sven just has a preference for that side on the peels.
It could be Sven, could be the team. A lot of teams traditionally, not necessarily as much these days, like to peel from the outside in. That's one of the things that I found with players is, as I went from, I'm of the generation where we started with no free guards and then gradually had 3 and then 4 and then 5. A lot of players in my generation got used to playing everything from the outside in, and nowadays, because there's usually a rock in the 4 foot, a lot of peels are played from the inside out. So I've played with some younger players who are far more comfortable playing from the inside out. Looking here to replace that guard. Might have left him a little bit of an angle if he wants to try it, but you'd be flirting with staying on the center line with your shooter. It would be really high. Certainly we know these guys can throw a lot of weight. With that amount of broom, I don't think he's taking any chance at the double peel. He's just going to straight pick this one.
I think Sven heard us and said, I'll show you I can throw the inside out too. All right, you've got me.
Makes us wonder why you didn't call it the last time, though. Now the difference here, this end as opposed to last end, when regarding the center line, the last end, this end, with that guard being about a foot off, just protecting the corner of the forefoot. If you keep throwing guards too long, I think on Benoit Schwartz's first stone, he might actually draw. As much as anything else, as a kind of a rehearsal for his last stone, knowing that he's still going to have the button with his last one.
Yeah, he might want to do that. He's been throwing a lot of big weight hits, Benoit has, in the last 3 ends.
Yeah, so that's something you have to be a little bit conscious of if you're Yanagisawa. You can't just... You'll be able to throw guards for a couple yet, but you might have to make a decision on your first one to come in, because if you throw one more guard at that point, Schwartz has no reason not to come around, and he's always going to have the pin available for his last one after he just had a chance to throw a draw. Now, he may not do that if it comes down to that, but you do have to be conscious of that as a possibility at least.
Well, at least one more guard for sure.
Oh, for sure, yeah. It's just a question of whether you throw a guard with the skip's first stone, or do you have to come in? Well, the other option, I guess, if you throw one more guard after this, do you worry about lining up to the red, or do you split center with it and hope for a mistake? They gradually, one at a time, have crept a little closer to center with every stone. They haven't been able to talk Yannick Schwaller into trying the double peel yet. It's probably your best chance of getting something back to the center line is if you could convince Yannick Schwaller to make a pass at the double peel, and they got a little unfortunate and jammed something.
Yeah, and if they took a pass at that double peel and made it, then you'd probably hit the open stone in the house and sit 2, right?
You're going to sit 2 that way, and that's one of the ways to steal 2. You're not in a great situation if all you're doing is drawing around one on a corner anyway.
Well, they've had no problems with the peels this end. There's the indication. Going around, that's what Riku's first thought was.
Taking a look around the outside. It matters a little who's second, but not a lot. Boy, they're looking hard. Must be close.
I agree with you. It probably doesn't matter too much. With this guard still in play, you're going to go around it. I don't think you're ever hitting the red stone.
Yeah, if the guard's not there, then it might make a difference. But the guard's still there for now.
I'm trying to look at their hand signals to figure out what they were doing or trying to indicate. But I didn't understand that.
No, the only ones I figured out, and I think they're kind of universal, they've got the fist to the hip is bumper weight, and they had one that was a little lower than that. The hand was on the knee, and I figured, well, if fist to the hip was bumper, that must mean hand on the knee is hack. And those are the only 2 I've been able to figure out. For a lot of it, they don't use a lot of hand signals. They do talk to each other. Of course, with no other game left on the sheet, it's pretty quiet out there right now. They're able to talk from one end to the other.
Yeah, in the future when we have the player mics.
The player mics on the Japanese team aren't going to help me a lot anyway.
I'm going to teach you one word of Japanese right now. When they want hack weight, it's haku. So, same word, basically. Nice draw. fully buried. It is only in the 8 foot though, so right now Schwaller has a lot of real estate to draw to. For the win, what would you do here if you were Team Schwaller? Would you peel off that guard and...
Well, then you're going to be facing two. They did put that draw in a very good spot, because when I was talking earlier about if you just leave that and Benoit Schwartz was going to draw, that's where he'd want to go. He'd want to go in that path. I guess if you were going to draw now, you could draw edge of the 4 foot on the open side. They'd probably have to play it, and then you're going to have an open shot for your last one. Nothing wrong with this run through. You can actually hit this just a little bit on the board side, double the blues, and perhaps leave the run back stone top 8 foot wide open.
That would be ideal. What you don't want to be is just on the inside and roll to the center guard. If you're not doing that, that's a great result.
And now is the situation where it actually kind of matters who's got second shot. If Yanagisawa thinks their second shot, you could just draw. You could try to draw there regardless.
They haven't gone back to have another look at this red and blue and see who's closer, so I'm guessing that they actually think they know they are blue.
I'm still looking at it, and I still think it's the Schwaller stone. It is close, though. It's really close.
Well, their eyes are a little bit younger than yours.
Well, and they're a lot closer than I am, too.
I'd hate to be wrong. If I were the vice and that's the call I that's the call I made and told my skip we're closer, I better be sure.
Now, if this was a North American team of any kind, but Canadian, American, doesn't matter, you might think that what they're doing here, are they playing freeze the kicker? You know already, if you put this in a spot where it's difficult to remove, Benoit Schwartz is simply going to draw.
Yep, absolutely.
If you think it's important to be sitting two, and I tend to think it might be important to be sitting two here, you can't put this in a great spot where you can expect him to hit and roll out. If you put it, they did talk about drawing wide towards that corner guard, but if you get anywhere over there, he only needs to be just full 8 foot with the draw, and he's just going to draw. You draw to the 4 foot, he's going to nose hit it. So if you need him to hit and roll out for the win, you better make sure you're sitting two.
I'm starting to think Bob Ursel maybe has fallen asleep because they're not calling a timeout, and it might be a good time to do so, but if Bob's on the couch... Certainly is a long week for the coach to be there every single draw, every single game, and actually having to pay attention. Well, I think they've decided. Drawing to the top of the 8.
Yeah, you know, in many ways it doesn't really matter here. You need an open miss out of Benoit Schwartz anyway, so make a shot that you know how to make, and then it's in the other guy's hands anyway. You have no control after you throw your rock. Nothing out of the brushes so far.
I have been very impressed from this Yanagisawa rink, particularly Riku. With some great blast stone shots.
Looking to just bring this in for shot or second shot. Well, he didn't get second shot out of it.
But they've covered their backstone, so they do force a draw, I think.
Benoit Schwartz is going to draw, and you know what? If he misses the house, you might see them measure this anyway. I'm not sure who's got shot rock. I think Schwaller thinks it's them. But if you're playing the draw here, you can't hurt yourself.
Nothing against Team Schwaller. I'd kind of like to see the measure, though.
Oh, that's just a mean thing to wish upon somebody after the way this game has gone.
I've been a big Benoit Schwartz fan for a long time. I really feel like they deserve an upgrade from that bronze medal. They've been winning so often.
Rushers have been off and on this all the way down. Means they like the weight. He will put it right on the top of the button. Benoit Schwartz, the fourth thrower, putting the stone on the button. Schwaller will pick up the single point and the victory here in an extra end over Yanagisawa, and thus concludes all of the action here from the Curling Stadium Martensville International. Schwaller the winner on the men's side. We want to thank everyone who's been with us all week. My name is Sean Joyce. It's been Jason Chang joining me here for the end of this game. Outstanding curling. We've enjoyed it. We hope you did, and we'll look forward to seeing you at our next event.
Saskatchewan, you know SaskTel, because we're everywhere. Because being everywhere keeps us connected to you. You are what matters most. With SaskTel sponsorships, we get to be a part of your community. From the dance competitions, to the rodeos, to helping discover and embrace technology across the province, we're here with you, and we're here for you. It's easy to get started. All you need to do is apply. Every year, SaskTel contributes nearly $3 million to approximately 1,000 nonprofits, charities, associations, and events in more than 200 communities across Saskatchewan. So keep dancing, keep laughing, keep discovering, and we'll be there to help, to lend a hand, and join in the fun. SaskTel cares. Always has, always will, because we are dedicated to our home. To apply for sponsorship, visit SaskTel.com/sponsorships.